please do so. And you have 15 minutes in total, and we'll keep the last few minutes of that for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I hope you can hear me. I'm wondering if you're going to be able to share my slides or if I should do that.
Could you share them, please, unless you've made arrangements with one of the AfNOG staff? I'm not ready to share it myself.
Well, I'm afraid that sharing my slides from here is not working. I did send my slides to AfNOG staff earlier today. Are they able to share the slides?
Technical hitch with slide sharing. If you could just please proceed, we'll catch up with you. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. So as Alan said, my name's Matt Ford, and I'm joined by my co-project lead, David Belson, and we'll briefly present to you an update on the Measuring the Internet project, or an introduction to it, I should say. And I thought I'd start with why we're interested in measuring the Internet at all. So as you may be aware, the Internet Society has a diverse portfolio of projects now that are focused on increasing the Internet's reach, reliability and resilience, and ensuring that the Internet remains open, globally connected, secure and trustworthy. But we want to make sure that we can assess our efforts and the efforts of other industry organizations towards those goals, and to know that they're working, and to the extent to which we're sort of on track to progress them and reach them. And we want everybody to be able to have access to data-driven insight into the health, availability and evolution of the Internet. And we want to be able to tell stories about how the Internet is changing, how it's evolving, how it's being used based on data that we can measure. So, David, are you able to talk to the next slide?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, it actually worked. Yeah, so what we're doing as part of the Measuring the Internet project is consolidating trusted third-party measurement data from a number of sources into a single platform. That platform is called Insights, 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 .internetsociety.org. That's where you can go to find more information, where you'll go to find the platform eventually. Within that platform, we'll be examining trends in the data, publishing reports that look at what we've found over time, telling data-driven stories, and we encourage everyone else out there to do the same with that data. And our goal ultimately is to make it available to everybody, including policymakers, a critical audience, researchers, journalists, also another critical audience, network operators, and civil society groups. Each of these audiences can use the data for different things. Next slide. So it's important to stress that we're not going to be performing any measurements or building data collection infrastructure ourselves.
we are partnering with a variety of different organizations across the internet industry to present, to visualize and analyze the insights that we can get from their measurement data. And we're going to be focusing on 4 focus areas initially. 2 of those will be launching later this year: internet shutdowns and enabling technologies, and we'll talk a bit more about each of those in a second. And then early in the early part of next year, we'll also be launching focus areas on internet resilience, and that will start initially with a focus on the African continent and the internet way of networking. So as I said, we're not conducting our own measurements. We're partnering with organizations that have data. Some of those are shown on the slide here, and we're very keen to talk to organizations that have data that they're either sharing publicly already or maybe want to share through this mechanism.
So I can talk to the internet shutdowns focus area.
I'm sorry, your slides are not moving.
We're not controlling them.
Oh, I am, but
why don't you stop sharing and then reshare again?
Right, should I do that between, right, okay. Why don't you talk to the shutdown slide anyway, David, while I try and get this going.
So yeah, so for the purposes of the project, we are defining shutdowns as an intentional disruption of internet-based communication that makes that communication inaccessible or unavailable in a specific location. We're adapting this definition from the Access Now terminology. So within the project, we are developing a curated database of shutdown events, such as the shutdowns in Ethiopia earlier this summer, or the ones that happened recently in Syria during the testing, during the nationwide testing. And then we will be working with key partners, such as Access Now, Oracle, and others to populate, archive, and verify these events, these shutdown events as they occur. And the goal ultimately is to use this as a platform for Internet Society chapters, civil society groups, and others within impacted countries where there have been shutdown events, to share firsthand accounts of the events, as well as the expected social and economic impacts. In the screen here on the right side, you can see this is a mock-up, effectively, of what we'll have within the platform.
Yeah, so I'll talk briefly about the enabling technologies. These are technologies that the Internet Society feels or believes that contribute to the improving the scalability, security, and trust of the open internet. So I'm sure these will be familiar to many of you. Some of them have we've been talking about, it feels like, for a very long time, like IPv6. Others are newer iterations on fairly long-standing protocols like TLS 1.3 that's now rolling out, HTTP 3, and others have also been around for some time and are increasingly widely adopted, like HTTPS and DNSSEC. So we'll launch with data on these technologies initially, and over time we are very keen to hear from the community about other technologies that they think sort of fit this bill of critical for the future of the internet, critical for the future security of and trustworthiness of the internet, and we'll look to add those to the platform over time. And we'll be supporting local and regional initiatives to promote these technology deployments with data from several sources. And so again, on the right-hand side, you can see a mock-up of the platform that we'll be launching later this year, where you'll be able to drill into regional and national perspectives on how these technologies are deploying. And we hope that this will help people in these countries and regions, making the case to the operators that ultimately need to deploy these technologies.
So as Matt mentioned, we will also have an internet resilience focus area launching early in 2021. And this is really looking at the ability of the internet to provide and maintain an acceptable level of service in the face of faults and challenges, the things that happen every day. Our colleague Kevin Chege is responsible for this focus area and will be driving a lot of the work here. The initial scope of this is Africa, but once we've launched it for Africa, the goal is to scale it globally. Kevin is currently working with a number of partners to develop the appropriate methodologies for what to measure and how to measure it, and identifying the target countries. We'll start doing the work, and then of course this will require strategic relationships with key measurement, technical, and regulatory communities across the continent initially, and then ultimately around the world.
And our final focus area is the internet way of networking. Well, I say final, we want ultimately to add to these as well. So we'd also love to hear from the community about additional sort of perspectives on internet measurement that we could add to these four focus areas. But the final one that we have in planning at the moment, which will launch in the first half of next year, is looking to measure the aspects of the internet way of networking framework. So if you go to that link on the slide, there's a document there that describes the framework where we've tried to identify the key characteristics that underpin the success of the internet and that we believe will be essential to the future success of the internet. And so in this focus area, we're looking to identify metrics that speak to these five different aspects listed on the slide, and then to identify data sources that allow us to track these as they evolve over time. And so that's it in a nutshell. Thank you very much for your attention. Apologies for all of the technical difficulties. Listed on the slide here is the website address, our Twitter handle for the measurement project, and an email